Maintaining well-being in a challenging world. Our society often separates mental and physical health and well-being from each other. This is probably because it's always been more socially acceptable to have physical health problems and less so mental health ones. When analysed across our lifetimes and the whole population, it is fair to say that we all suffer from issues of both physical and mental health at different stages and to different degrees. Some of the issues are time-limited and mild, others are more acute and serious, whereas others still can be chronic and long-term. Some are a result of injury and trauma, and others illnesses or inherited conditions. And some are to do with lifestyle, even if maybe we don't want to admit that. The important thing is to recognise that we all have the potential for physical and mental ill health. And it is important for us to look after ourselves, to look to maintaining good and positive well-being. So I want to consider some ways we can focus on positive well-being and what these include. The first, a good diet. This is a diet that is balanced and nutritious and takes into account any particular needs of your body with regard to allergies or sensitivities. It also needs to be regular and not erratic. But I want to add a note to that you need to understand that some people's diets will be different to your own because they have specific needs. And so before making any comment about how strange their diet might be, it is always worth listening as to what the reasons are why some people's diets are the way they are. 2, exercise. We need to ensure that there is movement and activity built into our lifestyle. This can be both physical and mental. Physically can range from going up and down the stairs, gentle exercise, going for walks, gardening, workouts, or whatever works for you. It is important to encourage good breathing and muscle movement. Brain activity is also important to maintain, whether this is through conversations, reading, crosswords, interacting with television or radio quizzes, or chess, or anything which can be stimulating. And between physical and mental exercise, it's really looking at giving your body and brain a workout, which is good for you and keeps you active. 3, interests. Many people have often said, well, I will do this when I have time, when referring to potential hobbies and interests. Now is the time to start. Whether this is researching family history or developing skills in music, craft or art, now can be a good time to do something new, or to take up again something we've long set down. It can be fulfilling and occupying. And when we are supporting others, it's important to encourage people to think about what they can do, but not to impose anything upon them. Hobbies and interests give both a meaning and a purpose, whilst they can focus attention positively. 4, take time to think. Make time to reflect and be happy with yourself. This is important, especially as we have more time at the moment, and we may have more time on our own, and people do have time more on their own with limited social contact. It also gives us an opportunity to work through things which we've left undone. We are created in the image of God. He wants us to find himself in the minutiae of our lives, from when we wake up to when we relax, in activity and at rest. He actually wants us to find his peace and joy and hope in our lives. Time to think. Time to allow our brain to rest. And time to process what's there. But not time to worry. We need to be careful to avoid focusing on stuff which we cannot change. Worry is where we take stuff which is impossible for us to deal with and we preoccupy ourselves with it. And with that, I would say we need to learn to recognize what we can do and then deal with it. Recognize what we can't do and then put it on one side. And recognize what we need to hand over to God and then trust him with it. We need to be very careful about the input we receive. It is very easy to have information or news overload. It can be very helpful to limit the amount of stuff that we receive on a daily basis. I've known people become completely obsessed with focusing on hearing every bit of the news. And they've actually had to become very selective. Be aware that seeing disturbing images and stuff which may preoccupy you can be traumatizing, especially if it's repeated. So for some, maybe it's actually better to listen to radio news rather than watching television news in difficult times. Maybe we need to choose to plan ahead what we do with any information we receive. One constructive use of the news is for it to stimulate prayer and actually use it as a prayer response. So that when we see stuff, when we receive the stimulation, when we have this input, we actually have a particular plan on how to use it. We need, across all of this, to give ourselves the opportunity to focus on a positive well-being in our lives, both physically and mentally, so that as we respond to what happens to us, what we receive in, we can actually respond in a positive way. But we also can take control and do stuff to help us in our lifestyle, to build ourselves up, to have the exercise we need, to actually have the goodness that we need to come in, and to actually receive from God what he wants to give to us.